The gentle dawn moved slowly through the darkness of space. It was a peaceful ship, carrying supplies to the outer colonies. Commander Lysa Therian stood on the bridge, watching the stars through the big windows. She was a Valorum, a species known for peace and kindness. Her silver-blue skin reflected the soft lights of the control panels. Her large eyes showed wisdom and care. The Valorum people had never known war. Their whole civilization was built on helping others and working together. They traveled the galaxy as teachers and helpers. They brought food to hungry worlds and medicine to sick planets. Everyone knew the Valorum as friends. Lisa checked the ship screens. Everything looked normal. Her crew worked quietly at their stations. There were 20 Valorum on the ship. All of them were scientists, engineers, or medical workers. None of them had ever fired a weapon. None of them had ever needed to. A young Valorum named Tenko sat at the communication station. He was fresh from the academy, excited about his first deep space mission. He hummed a gentle tune as he monitored the radio channels. The tune stopped suddenly. Tenko's face went pale. His hands shook as he looked at his screen. "Commander," he said quietly, "there are ships approaching. Many ships. They are not answering our signals." Lysa moved to his station. She looked at the display. Her heart sank. She knew those ship designs. Every species in the galaxy knew them. They were Kraith warships. The Kraith were hunters and warriors. They came from a hot, dangerous world. Their reptilian bodies were covered in thick scales. Their claws could tear through metal. For hundreds of years, they had attacked peaceful species. They took slaves and stole resources. The Galactic Union tried to stop them, but the Kraith were too strong and too scattered. "Send a message," Lisa ordered. "Tell them we are a peaceful supply ship. Tell them we carry only food and medicine. We are no threat to anyone." Tenko sent the message. They waited. The Kraith ships kept coming closer. They did not slow down. They did not answer. Then the Kraith opened fire. Energy beams cut through space like burning knives. They hit the gentle dawn's shields. The whole ship shook. Lights flickered. Alarms screamed through the hallways. The crew looked at Lisa with frightened eyes. She tried to stay calm. "Everyone to the emergency stations," she commanded. "Prepare to evacuate if needed, but where could they go?" There were no planets nearby. No friendly ships in range. The other Valorum vessels in their convoy were also under attack. Lysa watched through the window as one of their sister ships exploded. Bright flames filled the space for a moment, then disappeared into darkness. The shields failed. The Kraith weapons hit the hull directly now. Metal twisted and broke. Air rushed out through the holes. Emergency systems sealed the breaches automatically, but the ship was dying. Heavy thuds echoed through the ship. Boarding pods. The Kraith were attaching their craft to the hull. They were coming inside. Tenko looked at Lisa. "Commander, should I send a distress signal?" Lysa nodded. "Yes, send it on all frequencies. Give our position. Tell them what is happening." She did not say what they both knew. No help would come in time. Tenko's fingers flew across his console. He sent the message out into the void. A simple plea for help that would travel through space at the speed of light. He finished just as the door to the bridge exploded inward. Kraith warriors stormed in. They were huge, almost twice the size of a Valorum. Their scales were dark green and brown. Their yellow eyes were cold and hungry. They carried heavy weapons that looked cruel and deadly. One Kraith stepped forward. He was bigger than the others. Scars covered his face and arms. Metal implants replaced his left eye and right hand. This was Commander Zethrak, a veteran of countless raids. He looked at the Valorum crew and smiled. His teeth were sharp like a predator's. "Surrender," he said in rough trade standard. "You will be slaves. If you fight, you will die. Choose now." Lisa stepped forward. Her legs shook, but she stood tall. "We are peaceful people," she said. "We have done nothing to you. Please let us go." Zethrak laughed, a horrible sound. "Peaceful? That is why you are perfect slaves. You will not fight. You will obey." His warriors grabbed the Valorum crew and pulled them toward the door. Lysa and her people were taken to the cargo bay. Other Valorum from different parts of the ship were already there. Everyone was scared. Some were crying. Others just stared at nothing in shock. Through a small window, Lisa could see space. Kraith ships surrounded them. More Valorum vessels were being boarded. The convoy was lost. Everything was lost, but far away, light years distant, something was happening. The distress signal was still traveling through space. It crossed star systems and empty void. It passed by dead planets and living worlds. Most species that received it felt sad but helpless. The Valorum were far away. What could anyone do? Then the signal reached Earth. Lisa Harper sat at her station in the Terran Naval Command. She was a communications specialist. Her job was to listen to radio signals from across the galaxy. Most days were boring. She listened to trading ships talking about cargo. She heard weather reports from colony worlds. She sometimes picked up music from distant cultures. Today was different. A signal came through that made her sit up straight. She heard fear in the voices. She heard weapons fire in the background. She heard the word help repeated over and over. She recorded it and rushed to find Admiral Gregory Stone. He was in his office reading reports. He looked up when she entered. He was an old man with gray hair and tired eyes. He had served in the Navy for 40 years. "Admiral," Lisa said, "you need to hear this." She played the recording. Admiral Stone listened carefully. His face grew hard. "Play it again," he ordered. Lisa did. He closed his eyes and listened to every word. When it finished, he was silent for a moment. "Who are they?" he asked. Lisa pulled up information on her tablet. "The Valorum, sir. They are a peaceful species. They have no military. They run medical missions and supply convoys. They have never hurt anyone." "And the attackers?" Admiral Stone asked. His voice was cold now. "Kraith raiders, sir. Multiple ships. The intelligence reports say they take slaves and loot cargo. This is not the first time they have attacked peaceful convoys." Admiral Stone stood up. He walked to the window and looked down at Earth. The blue planet turned slowly below him. "How far away are they?" he asked. 3 days at maximum speed for the Third Fleet," Lisa answered. "They are on patrol in that sector. But sir, the Kraith fleet is much larger. Intelligence estimates 40 warships." Admiral Stone turned around. His eyes were hard like steel. "Contact the Third Fleet. Tell Admiral Morrison to proceed at maximum speed to these coordinates. Full combat status. Rules of engagement, complete warfare. Anyone who preys on the helpless is our enemy." Lisa hesitated. "Sir, should we contact the Galactic Union? Get approval? This could start a war." Admiral Stone shook his head. "The time for asking permission is over. Those people sent a distress call. We heard it. That means we answer. That is what humans do. Now send the order." Lisa saluted and left quickly. Admiral Stone sat back down. He knew what he was doing could bring trouble. Earth was new to galactic politics. They were supposed to be careful. But some things were more important than politics. When someone calls for help, you answer. It does not matter who they are. It does not matter how far away. You answer. That is the human way. He pressed a button on his desk. "Nicole," he said to his aide, "get me the Security Council. Tell them we are sending a fleet to respond to a distress call. Tell them I will explain everything later. But the fleet is already moving." In orbit around Earth, warning lights flashed across dozens of warships. The Third Fleet was preparing to move. Sailors ran to their stations. Marines checked their weapons. Engineers powered up the jump drives. Within 2 hours, the fleet would leave for the edge of known space. The Valorum did not know help was coming. Lisa and her crew sat in the dark cargo bay, prisoners of the Kraith. They prayed to the luminous ones and hoped for a miracle. They did not know that Earth had heard their call. They did not know that humanity was coming, not with help, with a fleet. The THS Defiant was the pride of the Third Fleet. It was a massive carrier ship, holding hundreds of fighters and thousands of crew. On the bridge, Admiral Kate Morrison stood with her arms crossed. She was reading the emergency orders that had just arrived from Earth. Kate was 50 years old. Her hair was starting to turn gray. Scars marked her face from battles long ago. She had fought pirates in the border wars. She had protected colonies from raiders. She had seen things that gave her nightmares. But she always did her duty. Around her, the bridge crew worked quickly. Screens showed star maps and ship positions. The fleet was spreading out into combat formation. 27 warships. Destroyers, cruisers, frigates, and the carrier. It was a powerful force by human standards. Lieutenant Commander Chris Anderson approached Kate. He was the tactical officer, a young man with sharp eyes and quick hands. "Admiral," he said quietly, "I have the intelligence report on the Kraith fleet." Kate took the tablet from him and read 40 ships. The Kraith outnumbered them almost 2 to 1. By normal military thinking, this was suicide. Most commanders would wait for backup. Most would ask for more ships. Kate was not most commanders. What do we know about the Valorum? Kate asked. Chris pulled up more information. They are complete pacifists. No weapons. No military training. They have been prisoners for 3 days now. Some are probably dead. Many are certainly hurt. Kate handed back the tablet. Then we do not have time to wait. Every hour we delay means more suffering. Order all ships to maximum speed. We go in hot and ready. Chris hesitated. Admiral, the odds are not good. The Kraith have more ships and heavier weapons. Kate smiled. It was not a happy smile. The odds are never good, Chris. That is why we train harder than anyone else. That is why we build tougher ships. The Kraith think numbers matter. They are about to learn something new. Now give the order. The fleet jumped to faster than light speed. Space twisted around them. Stars stretched into lines. For 3 days they would travel through the void. 3 days to prepare for battle. Down in the Marine Bay, Colonel Jake Sullivan addressed his troops. 4,000 Marines stood in neat rows. They wore powered armor that made them look like metal giants. Each one carried enough weapons to destroy a building. Jake was a big man from Alaska. His voice was deep and steady. Listen up, he said. We are going to rescue civilians from raiders. The enemy is strong and mean. They have been hurting peaceful people for years. Today that ends. The Marines cheered. They were volunteers, everyone. They came from every nation on Earth. Some grew up in cities. Some grew up on farms. Some were rich. Some were poor. But all of them chose to serve. All of them wanted to protect the innocent. Remember your training, Jake continued. We go in fast. We hit hard. We save every civilian we can. The Kraith will try to use hostages as shields. Do not let that slow you down. We have weapons designed for this. Trust your equipment. Trust your team. And remember why we are here. One Marine raised her hand. Sergeant Emma Lewis was small but fierce. Sir, what if the Kraith want to surrender? Jake looked at her. We accept surrender. We follow the rules of war. But if they fight, we fight back twice as hard. Clear? Clear, sir, Emma answered. On the second day of the journey, Kate called a meeting of all ship captains. They appeared on screens around the bridge. 26 faces looking at her with trust and determination. You all know the mission, Kate said. You all know the odds. I want to be clear about one thing. We are not going there to start a war. We are going to stop one. The Kraith prey on the weak. They think might makes right. We are going to teach them a lesson. Captain Amy Foster of the destroyer Vengeance spoke up. Admiral, what are the rules of engagement? Do we fire first? Kate shook her head. We give them one warning. One chance to release the prisoners and leave. If they refuse, we go to full combat. No mercy for slavers. Another captain asked, what if they have already killed the Valorum? What if we are too late? Kate was quiet for a moment. Then we make sure the Kraith never do this again. We hurt them so badly they think twice before attacking anyone else. Understood? All the captains nodded. They knew Kate was right. Sometimes you had to be cruel to be kind. Sometimes the only way to stop bullies was to hit them harder than they could hit you. On the third day, Father Daniel Murphy held religious services. He was the fleet chaplain, a kind old man with gentle eyes. He stood in the chapel and spoke to whoever came. There were Christians and Muslims. There were Buddhists and Hindus. There were people of no religion at all. We go into danger, Father Murphy said. We do it for people we have never met. People who do not look like us. People who do not think like us. But they are people. They feel pain. They feel fear. They have families and friends. They deserve to live in peace. He paused and looked at the faces around him. Some of you will not come back. That is the terrible truth of war. But you go anyway. You go because it is right. Every religion teaches this. Every culture knows this. When you have the power to help and you do nothing, you become guilty too. So we go. We fight, we save who we can. And when it is over, we mourn the cost. But we do not regret the choice. He led them in prayer, each person praying in their own way to their own god or gods or nothing at all, but all praying for the same thing, strength to do what was right. Back on the bridge, Kate watched the countdown clock. 6 hours until they reached the Valorum position. She had not slept in 2 days. Coffee kept her awake, but she was tired. So tired. Chris approached with another report. Admiral, he said. The diplomatic officer wants to talk to you. Kate sighed. Send him up. A minute later, Commander Paul Jenkins arrived. He was a slim man in a neat uniform. He worked for the State Department, not the Navy. Admiral Morrison, Paul said formally, I must protest this mission. We have not received approval from the Galactic Union. We do not have permission from the Valorum government. This could cause a major diplomatic incident. Kate turned to look at him. Her eyes were cold. Commander Jenkins, do you hear that? She pointed at a speaker. Faintly, they could hear the recorded distress call playing. That is permission. That is approval. When someone screams for help, I do not wait for paperwork. But the Kraith Imperium is large, Paul insisted. They have hundreds of worlds. If we attack them, they might declare war on Earth. We could lose millions of lives. Kate stepped closer to him. And if we do nothing, those Valorum will die. Maybe all of them. And then the Kraith will attack someone else. And someone else. Where does it stop? Paul had no answer. Kate continued. I understand your concerns. Really, I do. But I have a duty. Not to the Galactic Union, not to politicians, to those people out there who called for help. I heard them. So did everyone on this ship. We cannot unhear that. We cannot pretend we do not know, so we go, and you can file whatever reports you want after. Paul left without another word. Kate returned to watching the clock. 5 hours now. Soon they would drop out of faster-than-light travel. Soon they would see the enemy. Soon everything would change. She thought about Earth, her home planet, a world that had almost killed humanity 1,000 times. Ice ages and plagues, volcanoes and earthquakes, droughts and floods, predators that hunted humans for food, diseases that killed millions. Earth was not a kind mother. She was a harsh teacher. But that harsh teaching made humans strong. It made them tough. It made them survivors. And when they finally reached the stars, they brought that strength with them. Not to conquer, not to dominate, but to protect, because they knew what it was like to be weak. They knew what it was like to be hunted. They knew what it was like to be afraid. 1 hour left. Kate addressed the fleet on all channels. This is Admiral Morrison. In 60 minutes, we enter the combat zone. You all know what to do. You have trained for this. Trust your training. Trust your shipmates. Trust your ships. We are human. We do not give up. We do not back down. And we do not abandon people who need help. Let's bring those people home. Morrison out. The bridge crew worked in focused silence. Weapon systems powered up. Shields came online. Fighters launched from the carrier bay, forming a protective screen around the larger ships. Everything was ready. 5 minutes. Kate sat in her command chair. Her hands gripped the armrests. Around her, officers counted down systems checks. Weapons ready. Shields ready. Communications ready. Navigation ready. All green lights 10 seconds. Kate took a deep breath. She thought about the Valorum, scared and alone in the dark. She thought about her own family back on Earth. She thought about what it meant to be human. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The fleet dropped out of faster-than-light speed. Space returned to normal. Stars stopped stretching. And there, on the screens, they saw it. The Kraith fleet. 40 massive warships surrounding the broken, captured Valorum vessels. Sensors detected life signs on the Valorum ships. Some of the hostages were still alive. There was still time. Kate stood up. Open a channel to the Kraith fleet. All frequencies. Make sure they hear this. The communications officer nodded. Channel open, Admiral. Kate spoke clearly and slowly. This is Admiral Kate Morrison of the Terran Third Fleet. You are holding civilians prisoner. You have attacked peaceful ships. You have one chance. Release all prisoners immediately. Leave this system. If you comply, you will not be harmed. If you refuse, we will use all necessary force. Aboard the Kraith flagship Bloodfang, Commander Zethrak listened to the human message. He stood in his command center, surrounded by weapon displays and tactical screens. His officers waited for his orders. When the message ended, Zethrak laughed. It was a harsh, cruel sound. What is this Terran species? He asked his intelligence officer. The younger Kraith checked his database. They are new to space travel, Commander. Only 30 years of faster-than-light capability. Their homeworld is classified as a high-gravity death world. They have no major military victories on record. Zethrak looked at his screens. He counted the human ships. 27 against his 40. The humans were outnumbered and inexperienced. They were fools. Send them a reply, he ordered. Tell these foolish creatures they have sealed their fate. The Kraith Imperium does not bow to threats. If they want their precious Valorum, they can die trying to take them. The message was sent. On the Defiant, Kate received it and showed no emotion. She turned to her weapons officer, Commander Stephen Price. He was a thin man with cold eyes and steady hands. "Stephen," she said quietly, "show them what humans can do. Fire all weapons. Maximum force." Stephen's fingers moved across his control panel. "All batteries ready, Admiral. Firing now." The Defiant shook as missile tubes opened. Hundreds of missiles launched at once. They spread out like a metal swarm, filling space with fire and smoke. The other human ships fired too. Railguns threw metal slugs at incredible speeds. Laser batteries cut through the darkness with beams of focused light. Nuclear missiles flew toward the Kraith fleet, each one carrying enough power to destroy a city. The Kraith shields caught many missiles. They exploded against invisible barriers, creating bright flashes. But there were too many. The humans did not fire carefully aimed shots. They fired walls of destruction, quantity over quality. It was a strategy the Kraith had never seen before. Nuclear explosions bloomed across the battlefield. Each blast released electromagnetic pulses that disrupted Kraith sensors and targeting systems. Through the chaos and radiation, railgun rounds punched holes in shields and hulls. 3 Kraith destroyers simply ceased to exist, torn apart by the overwhelming firepower. Zethrak roared orders at his crew. "Return fire. All ships engage. Destroy these insects," the Kraith fleet responded. Their plasma cannons were powerful weapons designed to melt through any armor. Green beams of superheated matter crossed space, reaching for the human ships. The destroyer Vengeance took a direct hit. The plasma beam burned through layers of armor like paper. It melted metal and destroyed systems. Half the ship went dark. Most species would have considered the ship dead. Most crews would have abandoned it. Captain Amy Foster did not even think about retreating. "Damage report," she snapped. Her bridge was filled with smoke and sparks. Half her crew was injured or dead. Her second officer checked his screens. "Port side destroyed. Main power offline. Shields down to 15%. We are running on backup reactors." Amy nodded. "Good. Route all available power to weapons. Angle the ship to show our armor. Keep firing." The Vengeance turned, showing only its armored front to the enemy. Its railguns never stopped firing. Even crippled, even burning, it kept fighting. This was the human way. You did not stop until you won or died. There was no middle ground. The Kraith were confused. Their ships were better armed. Their weapons were more powerful. But the humans would not break. Human ships took damage that should have killed them and kept fighting. It made no sense. Most species retreated when hurt. These humans seemed to get angrier. On the Defiant, Chris watched the battle displays. "Admiral, we have lost the frigate Relentless. The destroyer Warhound is dead in space. The cruiser Guardian just exploded. We have taken heavy casualties." Kate's face showed no emotion. "Continue the attack. Move the fleet forward. Get closer to the enemy." Chris stared at her. "Closer? Admiral, we are already at close range. Most navies fire from 10 times this distance." Kate looked at him. Most navies did not grow up on Earth. Most navies did not learn to hunt predators with spears. We are not most navies. Close the distance. If we are going to trade fire, let's make sure every shot counts. The human fleet pushed forward. They entered what most species called suicide range. So close that missiles had almost no time to intercept. So close that railgun rounds hit almost instantly. So close that missing was nearly impossible. And at this range, human armor and redundant systems gave them an advantage. They could take hits better than the Kraith. Zethrak watched his formation collapse. He had started with 40 ships. Now he had 30, then 28. His warriors were brave, but they were dying. These humans fought like nothing he had ever seen. They did not value their own lives. They only cared about winning. A tactical officer pointed at his screen. "Commander, several of our ships have positioned themselves near the Valorum vessels. They are using the prisoners as shields." Zethrak nodded. "Good. Even these savage humans would not risk the hostages." It was a smart move by galactic standards. Kate saw the same thing. Chris brought it to her attention. "Admiral, 5 Kraith ships are hiding behind the Valorum vessels. If we fire on them, we might hit the hostages." Kate studied the display. Her mind worked quickly. What are the Valorum ships made of? Simple materials. No sophisticated electronics. Why, Chris understood. "Admiral, you are thinking of EMP weapons. Electromagnetic pulse missiles. They would disable the Kraith ships but leave the simpler Valorum vessels mostly intact." Kate nodded. "How many do we have?" Chris checked. Enough for 5 targets. But there is a risk. Some Valorum systems might fail. Life support could be damaged, and if we do nothing, Kate asked. The Kraith keep using them as shields. More humans die. The battle drags on. The Valorum might be killed anyway. Chris had no answer. Kate made the decision. Prepare EMP missiles. Target those 5 ships. Fire on my command. The missiles launched. They were not explosive. They were designed to release a massive electromagnetic pulse on detonation. The energy wave would fry any sophisticated electronics within range. Simple circuits might survive. Complex ones would die. The missiles reached their targets and detonated. Invisible waves of electromagnetic energy washed over the Kraith ships. Every screen went dark. Every weapon stopped working. Every system failed at once. The ships went silent and dead, floating in space like metal tombs. The Valorum ships flickered. Some lights went out, but their basic systems kept working. Life support continued. The structure held. Most importantly, the people inside survived. Kate had made the right choice. Zethrak finally understood. These humans were not like other species. They did not fight to look strong. They did not fight for honor or glory. They fought to win by any means necessary. And they would risk anything, sacrifice anything to save innocent lives. He looked at his tactical display. 15 ships left from his original 40. More than half his fleet destroyed or disabled. The humans had lost only 3 ships with several more damaged. But even the damaged ones kept fighting. This was not a battle anymore. It was slaughter. A hard choice faced him. He could stay and fight to the death. That was the honorable Kraith way. A warrior never retreated. A warrior never showed weakness. But Zethrak was also practical. Dead warriors served no purpose. A warrior who lived could fight another day. All ships, he ordered. Retreat. Jump to faster than light speed. We will return to Kraith space. His officers stared at him in shock. Commander, the honor codes forbid retreat. Zethrak bared his teeth. The honor codes were written by warriors who never faced Deathworlders. If we stay, we die. If we leave, we warn our people. We learn from this. Now execute my orders. The remaining Kraith ships engaged their faster-than-light drives. One by one, they vanished, jumping away to safety. In moments, the battlefield was clear. Only the human fleet and the captured Valorum vessels remained. Kate watched them go. Part of her wanted to pursue, wanted to hunt them down and finish them. But that was not why they came. Chris approached her. Should we follow them, Admiral? Kate shook her head. No. Our mission was rescue, not revenge. Get me damage reports from all ships, then prepare boarding teams. We have people to save. Stephen checked his weapon systems. All batteries offline. We are recharging capacitors. That was our entire missile inventory. We have maybe 30% railgun ammunition left. Kate smiled tiredly. Then it is good the fight is over. Well done, everyone. You just made history. Now let's bring those people home. The bridge crew cheered. It was not a victory celebration. Too many friends had died. Too many ships were damaged. But they had won. Against terrible odds, outnumbered and outgunned, they had won because they were human, because they refused to give up. Because when someone called for help, they answered. Kate sat down in her command chair. Her body ached. Her head hurt. She wanted to sleep for a week. But first there was work to do. Colonel Sullivan, are your Marines ready? Jake's voice came over the comm. Yes, Admiral. We are launching boarding craft now. Time to get those people out of there. Kate watched the displays as small craft left the human ships and flew toward the Valorum vessels. The real work was just beginning. The fighting was over. Now came the rescue. Now came the part that mattered most. Now they would see if their sacrifice had been worth it. The boarding craft moved slowly through space. Inside one of them, Sergeant Ryan Carter checked his rifle one more time. Around him, his squad did the same. They wore heavy-powered armor that hummed with energy. Their helmets displayed targeting information and life signs. Ryan was from Texas. He had grown up on a ranch working with cattle and horses. He joined the Marines to see the galaxy. He stayed because he believed in protecting people who could not protect themselves. Today that belief would be tested. Approaching the gentle dawn, the pilot announced. 15 seconds to contact. Ryan stood up. His squad followed. Lock and load, people. We go in fast. Clear each room. Look for hostages and hostiles. Remember, the Valorum are probably scared. Do not make sudden moves. Speak calmly. Show them we are here to help. The boarding craft attached to the Valorum ship with a heavy thud. Cutting torches burned through the hull. Metal glowed red, then white, then fell away. The Marines moved forward into smoke and darkness. Ryan's helmet sensors showed heat signatures ahead. Multiple targets. Some were moving. Some were not. Friend or foe? There was only one way to find out. First squad, advance. Weapons hot. Cover your sectors. They moved through the corridor. Emergency lights flickered. The air smelled of burned plastic and fear. They found the first bodies. Valorum crew members who had died in the initial attack. Ryan's jaw tightened. Keep moving, he ordered. A roar echoed from ahead. Kraith warriors charged around the corner. There were 6 of them armed with plasma blades and heavy rifles. They were huge, covered in scales, with yellow eyes full of rage. They had been left behind to guard the prisoners. The Kraith expected the Marines to fall back. Most species would retreat when facing Kraith warriors in close quarters. The Kraith were famous for their strength and ferocity, but the Marines did not fall back. They advanced. Ryan fired first. His rifle was designed to penetrate heavy armor. The rounds hit the lead Kraith in the chest, punching through scales and bone. The warrior fell. The others kept coming. Fire, Ryan commanded. All weapons. The hallway filled with gunfire and screams. The Kraith were strong and tough, but the Marines had better weapons and better armor. Private Emma Lewis dodged a plasma blade swing and shot her attacker 3 times at point-blank range. Corporal Ben Hughes used his powered fist to crush a Kraith skull. In 30 seconds, it was over. All 6 Kraith lay dead or dying. The Marines had minor injuries, but nothing serious. Ryan checked his squad. Everyone good? Yes, Sergeant, Emma replied. That was easier than training. Ryan grunted. Stay sharp. There might be more. Keep moving. They cleared 3 more corridors. Found more bodies, both Kraith and Valorum. The ship was a disaster. Broken equipment everywhere. Blood on the walls. Signs of fighting and suffering. Ryan felt anger growing in his chest. He pushed it down. Focus on the mission. Find the survivors. His helmet sensors picked up life signs ahead. Large concentration in the cargo bay. 20+ individuals. Some Kraith signatures, but mostly Valorum. That must be where the hostages were kept. Second squad, with me. Third squad, secure our exit. First squad, cover the approach. We are going in. They positioned themselves outside the cargo bay door. Ryan signaled for the breaching charge. The explosive device attached to the lock. 3, 2, 1. The explosion blew the door off its hinges. Marines poured through the opening. Inside, they found chaos. 5 Kraith warriors were holding 30 Valorum hostage. When the door exploded, the Kraith turned their weapons toward the prisoners. It was a desperate move. They hoped the humans would hesitate. The Marines did not hesitate. They had trained for this exact situation. Precision shots, Ryan ordered. Target the hostiles. Do not hit the civilians. His squad opened fire with perfect accuracy. The Kraith fell before they could hurt anyone. The hostages screamed and covered their heads. Clear, Emma called out. All hostiles down. Ryan lowered his rifle. Secure the room. Find the wounded. He walked toward the huddled Valorum. They looked terrified. Their large eyes were wide with fear. Some were injured. All were traumatized. One Valorum stood between the Marines and the others. She was small and thin with silver-blue skin. Her clothes were torn and dirty, but she stood tall, protecting her people even though she was shaking. Ryan recognized courage when he saw it. He removed his helmet. It was important that they saw his face, saw that he was not a monster. He smiled gently. Commander Therion? The Valorum woman stared at him. How do you know my name? We received your distress call. I am Sergeant Ryan Carter of the Terran 3rd Fleet. You are safe now. Lysa could not process what she was hearing. Safe, but the Kraith fleet was so large. How could anyone fight them? She looked at the armored humans. They were smaller than Kraith, but somehow more frightening. These warriors had just killed 5 Kraith in seconds. What kind of species could do that? Your fleet, Lisa said quietly. Did they survive? Ryan smiled wider. More than survived, we won. The Kraith ran away. But you are hurt. Let us help you. He gestured to his squad. Medics forward. Treat the wounded. 2 Marines came forward. They removed their helmets too. One was a woman with kind eyes. The other was a young man with gentle hands. Both were trained in alien medicine. They kneeled beside the injured Valorum and began treating wounds with surprising care. Lisa watched in amazement. These humans had just been brutal killers. Now they were gentle healers. How could they be both things at once? She looked at Ryan. I do not understand. You came all this way for us? We are strangers. Why would you risk your lives? Ryan thought about how to explain. Because it was the right thing to do. Because you called for help. Because if we did not come, who would? He paused. My grandmother used to say something. She said evil wins when good people do nothing. We heard you, we came. That is what humans do. Lysa felt tears running down her face. For 3 days they had been prisoners. 3 days of fear and pain and hopelessness. She had prayed for rescue but never believed it would come. Now these strange warriors from an unknown world had saved them. How could she ever thank them? Over the next hours, the Marines secured all the Valorum ships. They found survivors in each one. Some were healthy. Many were hurt. All were grateful beyond words. Medical teams from the human fleet came aboard to help. They brought food and water and medicine. Lisa was taken to the Defiant. She walked through the massive human warship in a daze. Everything was so different from Valorum designs, harder, stronger, built for war. Yet the crew she met were kind and helpful. They smiled at her. They brought her food. They asked if she needed anything. She was brought to a meeting room. Admiral Kate Morrison waited there. The human admiral was a tall woman with gray hair and tired eyes. She stood when Lysa entered and offered her hand. Commander Therion, I'm glad you are safe. Please, sit. You must have many questions. Lisa sat down carefully. Her body ached. Her mind was still trying to understand everything. Admiral Morrison, she said, why did you come? You lost ships. People died. For strangers. It makes no sense by any logical standard. Kate poured 2 cups of tea. She offered one to Lysa. It makes perfect sense if you understand where we come from. She pointed to a picture on the wall. It showed a beautiful blue and green planet. That is Earth, our home. It is not a gentle place. Lysa looked at the picture. It looks beautiful. Kate nodded. It is, but it is also deadly. Kate explained about Earth, about predators that hunted humans for food, about diseases that killed millions, about weather that could freeze or burn, about earthquakes and volcanoes and floods. She spoke of how humanity survived by working together, by protecting each other, by never leaving anyone behind. We learned something important, Kate said. Being strong means nothing if you use that strength to hurt others. Being strong means you can protect those who are weak. Your people called for help. We heard, we came. That is what strength is for. Lisa finally understood. These humans were not monsters. They were survivors who chose to use their survival skills to help others. They had the strength to dominate but chose to protect instead. It was beautiful and terrible at the same time. But you lost people, Lisa said softly. I saw your casualty reports. Hundreds died to save us. Kate's face became sad. Yes, good people, brave people. They knew the risks. They went anyway. Because some things are worth dying for. She looked directly at Lisa. Saving innocent lives is worth dying for. Lisa bowed her head. My people will never forget this. We owe you everything. Kate reached across the table and touched her hand. You owe us nothing. Just pass it forward. Help someone else someday. That is all we ask. Lysa nodded. She would. She would spend the rest of her life telling this story, telling the galaxy about the day humans came to save them. A knock on the door interrupted them. An officer entered. Admiral, the memorial service is starting. Kate stood. Commander Therion, would you join us? We honor our dead. I think you should see this. Lysa stood and followed. She needed to understand these humans better. She needed to see how they mourned. The memorial service was held in the main hangar bay of the Defiant. Thousands of crew members gathered in neat rows. They wore their dress uniforms. Every face was serious. Every eye was forward. They stood at attention as Admiral Morrison walked to the podium. Lysa watched from a platform above. The other Valorum survivors stood with her. They had been invited to witness this human ceremony. None of them fully understood what was about to happen, but they knew it was important. Kate stood before her crew. Behind her, a large display showed photos of the fallen. 217 faces, young and old, men and women, different races and backgrounds, all of them human, all of them dead. Today we honor the fallen, Kate began. Her voice was strong but sad. 217 of our brothers and sisters gave their lives 3 days ago. They died fighting to protect innocent people. They died doing what was right. She paused and looked at the faces on the screen. She read each name. Every single one. It took almost an hour. Some names were simple. Some were complex. Some were from languages that were hard to pronounce. Kate did not rush. Each person deserved to be remembered. Each name deserved to be spoken. When she finished reading the names, she continued. These people did not know the Valorum. They had never met them. They did not speak their language or understand their culture. But when they heard the distress call, they did not hesitate. They did not ask if it was their problem. They did not worry about the cost. They simply acted. That is what it means to be human. We protect those who cannot protect themselves. We answer when someone calls for help. We stand against evil even when it is hard, even when it costs us everything. These 217 people understood that. They lived by that code. They died by that code. Kate looked up at the Valorum watching from above. Because of their sacrifice, 37 Valorum are alive today. 37 people who will see their families again. 37 people who will continue their work of peace and healing. That is what our people died for. That is why their sacrifice was not in vain. She turned back to her crew. We will mourn them. We will miss them. But we will not regret what we did. We will not doubt that it was right. And if tomorrow another distress call comes, we will answer again. Because that is who we are. That is what Earth taught us. That is what makes us human. The crew saluted. A bugler played a sad, beautiful song. The notes echoed through the hangar. Many people cried. Even hardened warriors had tears on their faces. Up above, Lisa and the Valorum wept too. They wept for the humans who died. They wept for the kindness of strangers. They wept for the beauty and sadness of it all. After the service, Lisa asked to speak with Kate privately. They met in Kate's office. It was a simple room. A desk, some chairs. Pictures of family on the walls. Kate poured more tea and they sat in comfortable silence for a moment. I want to tell my people what happened here, Lisa said. I want to tell the Galactic Union. The galaxy needs to know what you did, what you are. Kate shook her head. We do not need recognition or praise. We just did our job. But Lisa insisted. No, you did more than your job. You showed us what real strength looks like. The galaxy has forgotten that lesson. Kate thought about it. Finally, she nodded. Tell them if you want, but tell them the truth. Tell them we are not perfect. We make mistakes. We can be violent and aggressive. We come from a hard world and it shows. But also tell them we believe in protecting the weak. We believe in answering distress calls. We believe some things are worth fighting for. Lisa promised she would. Then she asked another question. What happens now? Will you take us home? Kate smiled. We will escort you back to Valorum space. It will take 2 weeks. Our engineers are already repairing your ships. You will have safe passage all the way. The journey home was strange and wonderful. Human and Valorum crew worked together. They shared meals. They told stories. They learned about each other's cultures. Sergeant Ryan became friends with young Tenko, the communications officer who had sent the distress call. They sat together in the mess hall, eating human food. Tenko tried a hamburger and made a funny face. This is very heavy. How do you digest such food? Ryan laughed. We come from a high-gravity world. Everything on Earth is heavy. We evolved to eat dense, calorie-rich food. Our bodies need more energy. Tenko asked many questions. He wanted to know everything about Earth. Ryan told him about deserts and jungles, about lions and sharks, about hurricanes and earthquakes. Tenko listened with wide eyes. Your world sounds terrifying. How did your species survive? Ryan shrugged. We worked together. We made tools. We learned to adapt. Humans are not the strongest species on Earth. We are not the fastest or the toughest, but we are the smartest, and we never give up. Those two things together make us dangerous, but they also make us good at helping others. Tenko thought about that. Do you ever wish you came from a kinder world? Ryan smiled. Sometimes. But if Earth had been kinder, we might not have become who we are. Our harsh world taught us important lessons. It taught us to be strong, to be brave, to protect each other. Those lessons let us save you. So no, I do not regret where I come from. News of the battle spread across the galaxy. The Kraith Imperium was angry. They sent formal complaints to the Galactic Union. They claimed humans had attacked them without cause. They demanded compensation for their lost ships. The Galactic Union called an emergency meeting. Representatives from hundreds of species gathered to discuss the situation. Many were worried. Humanity was new and aggressive. Some species wanted to restrict human expansion, some wanted sanctions or penalties. Then Lisa Therian addressed the assembly. She was broadcast from the Defiant with Kate standing beside her. She told the complete story. She described the Kraith attack. She played the distress call. She explained how humans answered when no one else would. She spoke about the battle, not focusing on the violence but on the courage. She described wounded human ships that kept fighting. She talked about Marines who risked their lives to save strangers. She showed the cost in human lives. Most importantly, she spoke about what happened after, how humans treated their prisoners with respect, how they cared for Valorum wounded with gentle hands, how they mourned their own dead while protecting the living. She painted a complete picture of humanity. When she finished, the chamber was silent. Then slowly applause began. The Valorum delegation started it. Other species joined. Not everyone clapped. Some still worried about human aggression, but most understood what had happened. A new power had arrived in the galaxy. A power that chose to protect rather than conquer. Kate was invited to speak next. She stood before the assembled representatives. Many had never seen a human in person. They stared at her with curiosity and some fear. She looked back without flinching. "My name is Admiral Kate Morrison," she said. "I command the Terran Third Fleet. I am here to deliver a message from humanity. We did not come to the stars looking for war. We came looking for friends, for trade, for knowledge. We want peace as much as anyone. But let me be clear. We will not stand by while the strong prey on the weak. We will not ignore distress calls because it is politically inconvenient. We will not let innocent people suffer when we have the power to help. This is not a threat. This is a promise." She paused and looked around the chamber. "To those who value peace and justice, humanity will be your greatest ally. We will stand with you. We will help you. We will protect you. To those who prey on the helpless, know this. Humanity is watching. Humanity is listening. And when we hear a distress call, we will answer." She let that sink in. Then she concluded. "The Terran Third Fleet was a small part of our military. Earth has dozens of fleets, millions of soldiers. We are Deathworlders. We evolved in conditions that would kill most species here. We do not say this to frighten you. We say it so you understand. When we make a promise, we keep it. When we say we will help, we mean it." The response was mixed. Some species were excited. Some were worried. Some were both. But everyone understood one thing. The galaxy had changed. A new player had entered the game, and this player had different rules. The Kraith Imperium dropped their complaints. They signed a treaty agreeing to stop raiding peaceful convoys. They released many slaves. It was not kindness that changed them. It was fear. They had learned that some species fight back. Some species fight back hard. 6 months later, the Valorum and humans signed a formal alliance. The Valorum would provide diplomatic services and medical knowledge. Humans would provide protection and military support. It was the beginning of a partnership that would change the galaxy. Lisa became the Valorum ambassador to Earth. She traveled to the human homeworld and walked on its surface. She experienced rain for the first time. She felt wind strong enough to knock her down. She saw animals that terrified her. And she understood. This harsh world had created a harsh but noble people. More distress calls reached Earth in the following years. Each time humanity responded. Pirates learned to avoid certain ships. Slavers found their business drying up. Bullies discovered that victims now had powerful friends. The galaxy became a little bit safer, not because of laws or treaties, because of one simple principle. When someone calls for help, humans answer. Always. 50 years passed. The galaxy changed in ways no one had predicted. The rescue of the Valorum convoy became legend. Children across 100 worlds learned the story in school. They called it the Deathworlder intervention. The day when Earth announced itself not as conqueror but as protector. The Terran Third Fleet was renamed the Guardian Fleet. They still patrolled the Outer Rim, protecting peaceful ships from raiders and pirates. Their flagship was still called Defiant, though it had been rebuilt many times. The name remained because the name mattered. It reminded everyone what humans stood for. Admiral Kate Morrison had retired from active service 10 years after the battle. She was 70 now, living quietly on Earth, but she remained involved in military policy. She wrote books about human military doctrine. She taught at the Naval Academy. And every year on the anniversary of the battle, she gave the same speech. This year was special. 50 years exactly since the Valorum rescue. Kate stood at the memorial in Washington, D.C. It was a simple monument, 217 names carved in black stone. Behind the names was a quote Kate had chosen herself. "When someone calls for help, we answer." Always thousands of people gathered for the ceremony. Humans and aliens mixed together in the crowd. Valorum stood beside Terrans. Other species that humans had helped over the years came to pay respects. The memorial had become a symbol, not just of one battle but of what humanity represented. Kate was old now. Her hair was completely white. Her back was bent. She needed a cane to walk. But her voice was still strong. She stood at the podium and looked at the crowd. "Thank you all for coming," she said. "Today we remember not just a battle but a choice. The choice to answer when someone called for help." She told the story again. She had told it hundreds of times, but it never got old. She spoke of the distress call and the decision to respond. She described the battle and the rescue. She read the names of the fallen, just like she had 50 years ago. Each name still mattered. Each person still deserved to be remembered. When she finished, another speaker approached the podium. It was Lysa Therian. She was ancient by Valorum standards. Her silver-blue skin had faded to pale gray. She moved slowly, carefully, but her eyes were still bright with intelligence and kindness. 50 years ago, Lysa said, I was a prisoner waiting to die. My people had no hope. No one was coming to save us. We were simply waiting for the end. She paused and looked at the names on the memorial. Then we heard engines, human engines. We saw human ships, and everything changed. She spoke about her first meeting with Ryan Carter. She described his scarred face and kind eyes. She talked about how frightened she had been, and how he had taken off his helmet to show he was human, not monster. She spoke of Kate's explanation about Earth and why humans helped strangers. For 50 years I have devoted my life to telling this story, Lysa said. I have traveled to hundreds of worlds. I have spoken to millions of people, and I always say the same thing. The galaxy learned something important that day. We learned that strength without compassion is tyranny, but strength with compassion is heroism. She gestured to the humans in the crowd. These people come from a world that tried to kill them every day. They evolved fighting predators and diseases. They learned to be tough and aggressive, but they also learned something else. They learned that survival requires cooperation. That strength means protecting the weak. That having power means using it responsibly. The galaxy is safer now because of what happened 50 years ago. Piracy has decreased by 70%. Slavery is almost extinct. Peaceful species no longer live in constant fear. Why? Because humanity made a promise and kept it. When someone calls for help, humans answer. Always. After the speeches, people mingled and talked. Kate sat on a bench, tired but happy. A young man approached her. He wore a naval uniform with the rank of captain. Excuse me, Admiral Morrison. May I speak with you? Kate smiled, of course. Sit down. The young captain sat. His name tag read Carter. Kate looked at him more closely. Are you related to Ryan Carter? The captain nodded. He was my grandfather. He passed away 5 years ago. But he told me stories about the Valorum rescue. He said it was the most important thing he ever did. Kate's eyes grew misty. Ryan was a good man, a good Marine. I was honored to serve with him. The younger Carter smiled. He talked about you all the time. He said you taught him what real leadership looked like, making hard choices, taking responsibility, doing what was right even when it cost everything. What do you do now? Kate asked. I command a frigate in the Guardian fleet. We patrol the Outer Rim protecting convoys. Last month we stopped a pirate attack. Saved 200 civilians. Kate patted his shoulder. Your grandfather would be proud. You are carrying on the tradition. Keep it alive. Across the memorial park, Lysa sat with Tenko. He was middle-aged now, a respected communications officer in the Valorum fleet. They watched the humans and other aliens talking together. Remember when we thought humans were monsters? Tenko asked. Lysa laughed softly. Yes, we were so frightened. Then we learned what they really were. Heroes disguised as warriors. The galaxy has changed so much, Tenko said. Humans have inspired other species. Other Deathworlders have become more active in protecting the weak. Even some regular species have created their own defense forces. The humans showed everyone that peace requires strength, that kindness requires the power to enforce it. Lisa nodded. But it is more than that. Humans showed us something we had forgotten, that being civilized does not mean being helpless, that being peaceful does not mean accepting evil, that sometimes to protect life you must be willing to fight. That evening, Kate returned to her home. It was a small house with a garden. Pictures covered the walls. Her family, her crew from 50 years ago. Some faces were gone now. Others were old like her, but all of them were remembered. She sat in her favorite chair and looked at a picture from the battle. The Defiant surrounded by stars and fire, ships fighting and dying. It had been hell, but it had also been necessary. Sometimes hell was the price of doing right. Her tablet beeped, a message from Terran Naval Command. Another distress call had been received. A mining colony under attack by raiders. The Guardian fleet was already responding. They would arrive in 2 days. Kate smiled. The promise continued. The tradition lived on. She wrote a message back to the fleet commander. Remember why we do this. Remember who we represent. Remember the 217 who gave everything. Make their sacrifice mean something. Go save those people. She sent the message and closed her tablet. Outside her window, Earth turned slowly in the evening light. The harsh world that had created humanity. The brutal teacher that had forged a species capable of both great violence and great compassion. Kate looked at her homeworld and felt gratitude. Yes, Earth was hard. Yes, it was dangerous. But it made humans who they were. In orbit above Earth, hundreds of warships waited, ready to respond to any threat, ready to answer any call. The human fleet was larger now than it had been 50 years ago. But the mission was the same. Protect the innocent. Stand against evil. Answer when someone calls for help. Across the galaxy on Valorum Prime, children learned about the Deathworlder intervention in school. Their teacher, a young Valorum named Lisa, named after the famous commander, told the story with passion. She explained how humans had risked everything to save strangers, how they had fought against terrible odds and won. One student raised her hand. Teacher, why did the humans come? They did not know us. We could not pay them. Why risk their lives? Young Lisa smiled. Because that is what makes them special. They believe some things are more important than money or safety. They believe in helping others. They believe when you have the power to save someone, you have the responsibility to try. Another student asked, Are all humans like that? The teacher thought carefully. Not all humans are heroes. They have bad people too. They make mistakes. They can be violent and aggressive. But as a culture, as a civilization, they chose to be protectors. They took the harsh lessons from their world and used them to help others. That is what makes them remarkable. On a dozen other worlds, similar lessons were being taught. Human culture spread not through conquest but through respect. Other species wanted to learn from Earth. They wanted to understand how a species could be so tough yet so kind. Universities offered courses in human history and philosophy. The harsh world had lessons for everyone. Back on Earth, Kate fell asleep in her chair. She dreamed of the battle. She always dreamed of the battle. But tonight the dream was different. Tonight she saw the 217 who had fallen. They stood together smiling. They wore their uniforms with pride. And they were not angry or sad. They were at peace. One of them approached. A young sailor who had died at his post, keeping the engines running while his ship burned. He saluted Kate. Thank you, Admiral. Thank you for making it mean something. We knew the risks. We went anyway. And because we did, the galaxy changed. It was worth it. Kate woke with tears on her face. She looked at the picture of her old crew again. Yes, she thought. It was worth it. Every life saved was worth it. Every species protected was worth it. The cost was terrible, but the alternative was worse. To have the power to help and do nothing would have been the real tragedy. She stood and walked to her.